Hi, it's Bill Morgan here, and I just wanted to do a little video here for High Rise Industries and Helical Piles, New York, to show our viewers exactly where the problem seems to be here on the South Shore of Long Island, and where we're working and installing helical pilings after homes are being raised or before new foundations are being installed. As you can see on this picture here, I'm using Google Earth to give us a better view. So right now we're going to go down here into the Quogue Hampton Bays area. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. If you've watched our videos from last week, or the week before actually, we did a job here in Hampton Bays. When I say we, I mean High Rise Industries and Helical Piles, New York. Installed helical piles on a home right here in Hampton Bays. This here is Smith's Creek. If you go to our YouTube channel for High Rise Industries on YouTube, or actually even Helical Piles New York on Facebook, you'll see these videos. This video I'm talking about here was done a couple of weeks ago. And this is Smith's Creek, right here in Suffolk County, Long Island. Did a home. We raised a home. See if I can find it. I better zoom back out because I think it's over here. Here we go. Right here you see this boat in the driveway. This is the home that was raised by Davis Construction a few months ago. The helical piles were installed by High Rise Industries and Helical Piles in New York under this home about 2 weeks ago. We did a video here, and actually when you look at the video, you'll be able to recognize some of this. This is a little house that was next to this house that is raised. Of course, Google Earth, some of their images are 6 and 9 months old, so this house hasn't been raised yet. This is Smith's Creek, and this is the Hampton Bays. And all along this creek, you come out of here, and I'm going to zoom back out a little bit so you can get a better picture. If you come out of here, you come right into here to Shinnecock Bay, and you come right to this little area here. This little area we're going to talk about, and Silvio Ribello from High Rise Industries just made another nice little video about a home he's working on that he actually completed the work on right here. So I'm going to zoom in here now and show you this little area. You can see this little area is all peninsulas now because these were short little canals that were probably back in the 50s or 60s, were dredged out. The soil was dumped onto the banks here, making these canals longer and deeper, and taking the sill that was on the bottom of the bay here and dumped it up here on the shore. They compacted it and then put a lot of sand on top of it. Eventually built homes on top of that compromised soil. The area we're going to talk about right now is right here. Now you can see these are nice middle class, upper middle class homes on a beautiful canal on this side, on the bay on this side. You can see right here there's a horseshoe driveway, and there's no house here any longer. Apparently this house received so much damage that the only thing they could do is knock it down, because this piece of property is worth a lot of money. So eventually somebody will probably build something else here, but it'll definitely have to be elevated. The house we're going to look at in the video that Silvio Ribello shot just yesterday is going to be this house right here. This house next to it was raised about 9 months ago, and you'll see how nice this looks that it's all finished. This one will be that way in a couple of weeks, hopefully. It's already been raised, and now the helical piles were put in, and now a grand beam will be put in and foundations. And if you look across the street here, there's some houses here that are actually boarded up. The town hasn't permitted the residents to move back into these homes because they haven't been refurbished, or the mold hasn't been taken care of, or they're just too dangerous to go back into. And in some cases, they're insisting that the homes be raised. You'll see in this video that Silvio shot yesterday, the water table here is about 2 feet. You put a shovel in the ground, dig down 2 feet, and you have a hole full of water. That's how compromised this soil is here. So these houses are being raised, and helical piles are being installed underneath them, or in some case wooden pilings are being driven into the ground. Tremendous depths. I understand that one of these houses was going to put in piling 60 feet down, which is quite an accomplishment. Being anxious to see how that gets done. But in any event, these homes here are all surrounded by water. So when a storm comes and the tide changes and you get 5 or 6 or 10 feet of extra surge, this is all flooded out. Now I'm going to back up just a little bit and show you this area. This is Fire Island, and if we zoom in on some of these areas in Fire Island, there's some beautiful homes in here. They're subject to surge. This ocean comes across. If it breaks through, water just floods into these bays. And even when it doesn't break through, I mean, there are inlets. Let me zoom out. I'm getting you dizzy here. Let me zoom you out here. There's one of the inlets here in Fire Island. And these are just bridges. These lines you see are just bridges that connect Long Island to Fire Island. Now, once the water keeps in these areas, and if you get a south wind or an east wind, it just keeps blowing this water in. It just keeps pushing it up against these shoreline here, and there's no place to go but flood people's homes. But if you look here, like here's an east quag, you zoom into some of these, you'll see, let's see if we can find a couple of mansions for you. You can see here, this is probably a mansion. This is probably one here. Some of these homes are on acres and acres of land. Whoa! Sorry about that. I get all excited when I look at some of these houses. And then, of course, you have, a lot of middle-class areas here get flooded because there's the water table. This is all middle-class America here, And these areas, you can see these little ponds and canals, they overflow. That's why this area here is all probably just wetland, not being utilized, because it's probably just swamp and stuff. But not very far away is streets and homes, and probably up a little bit further you'll find schools and shopping centers, and there's a baseball field, But all these homes are vulnerable. And all these areas are considered what they call V-zone flood areas, which means that they're evacuation kind of areas. But this is a beautiful part of Long Island, and unfortunately, it's not as pretty as it used to be because so many homes are being raised, so many homes can't afford to be raised. There are homeowners waiting for insurance money, homeowners waiting for FEMA money. Some people didn't have insurance. Some people didn't have mortgages and now have to have a mortgage so they can afford to raise their home. It's an expensive ordeal, but they don't have a whole lot of choice. Insurance companies are already raising their rates 25 and 50%. So these homes are going to have to get elevated, or in some cases, people have walked away from these homes. They didn't have the proper insurance, or they couldn't afford the proper insurance. There was no mortgage because they had these houses. Some of these summer retreats have been in their families for generations, and then a storm comes and totally destroys the home, and it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to either replenish the home or rebuild it. So unfortunately, what once was beautiful areas, in some spots aren't so beautiful any longer. You know, you have a beautiful home sitting next to a house that's boarded up, or a beautiful home sitting next to a house that's been elevated 10 feet above the ground. So you look out your window and you're looking at somebody's basement. It's bizarre, really is, how the landscape of these little areas is changing. But you can go further west. Let me zoom out a little bit to make it a little bit more realistic. This is a prime part of Suffolk County on the South Shore. And if you go, let's go here, boys. Come on, those people in Google to get with us. If you go further west here into areas like Brookhaven and Sayville and Islip and Babylon and Oceanside, these areas all experience the same flooding, if not worse. The same thing. Water gets trapped in here, goes up all these canals, and these houses are, again, middle class America. You know, but look at all these canals. All these canals flood. If these houses aren't elevated, they flood also. Might only happen once every 10 years, but when it happens, people lose their homes. And insurance companies realize this. Insurance companies have to charge accordingly, I guess, to be able to stay solvent. So much money has not yet been released. People are still waiting for insurance money. People are still waiting for FEMA money. And this is the way it is all along the South Shore of Long Island. This is all low-lying areas, you know, a couple of feet and they hit the water. And of course you get into Brooklyn and then you get in here in the Staten Island. And then of course the Jersey Shore is a whole nother thing that I really don't know too much about. I'm a Long Island person. And I think that's the way it's going to stay. Okay, I just thought by giving you a good look at this map and give you a little close-up, when you look at our videos on YouTube or you look at our videos on Facebook, you get a better understanding of where these areas are and how close they are to the water and how the ocean dominates this area. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was enjoyable. Bye.